Hello, I'm Jeremy Fernandez. Life is changing in Australia and around the world. Those were the sobering words of the Prime Minister Scott Morrison this week as governments and institutions moved aggressively to slow the spread of COVID-19. The reason? The growing number of deaths attributed to the virus that's sowing fear and loathing into every layer of society. In Australia, the number of cases has risen dramatically in the past week. We've passed 870 positive tests, and it's too early to tell whether the recently implemented isolation and social distancing measures are working. Every state and territory has been affected. New South Wales continues to have the most cases and has registered 6 of the 7 deaths in Australia. The one other death has been in Victoria, where there are more than 170 cases. Queensland is the second most affected state, 184 cases there, and Western Australia has jumped to 64. And this is how we compare to the rest of the world. This is the amount of confirmed cases, and it shows the trajectory that Australia is on. A lot of the government controls brought in are aimed at flattening that line to mimic the successful campaigns in South Korea and Japan. This line is what doctors are referring to when they call for more stringent public health measures. Italy now has more deaths than China, although as you can see on this graph, China still has more confirmed cases. Iran now has more than 18,000 cases. In that country, someone dies at a rate of 1 every 10 minutes, and 50 Iranians are contracting coronavirus every hour. All overseas travel into Australia is being stopped as we join a growing list of countries shutting down their borders. That's prompted the government and industry to step up their efforts to stave off what many say would be an inevitable recession. The Prime Minister says that at this stage, the government has planned for the next 6 months, and that means the budget will be delayed until October. Earlier, the Reserve Bank acted. Phil Lasker explains.
Not only did the RBA cut the official interest rate without waiting for the usual monthly board meeting, it'll also buy government bonds, which has the effect of driving down interest rates for a whole range of loans, like fixed interest loans for businesses and homes. It's also released cheap funding for banks worth at least $90 billion, which is aimed at supporting business, particularly small and medium enterprises.
Well, a stark reminder of the impact on small businesses is the empty streets of our towns and cities. Their chances of survival have been further cruelled by the strict social distancing measures. The government wants only 25 people to be allowed in a space of 100 square metres, so that's 1 person for every 4 square metres. I took a stroll around Sydney earlier today. In the nation's big metropolises, central business districts are experiencing anything but business as usual. The Pitt Street Mall at lunchtime would normally be heaving with people, locals, office workers, international visitors, day trippers. Today, the crowd numbers are far lower than what they would normally be, what you would normally expect at this time of the year, at this time of the day. Now that's critical for these businesses because a lot of them are paying rents based on high foot traffic numbers that will generate that sort of revenue. Now that foot traffic has simply evaporated. Most businesses can absorb that for a little period of time, but what happens in the future is going to be critical to the way business survives this downturn.